Effective demonstration is a technique. A coach uses this before, during, and after a game, and also in training because um, he or she uses it to explain skills and drills that may need to be reinforced in a game or also in training so they can become better players. The coaching points should be simple, usually with um, non-elites because they don't understand how skills or drills may work, whereas an elite they're more complex and therefore the coach wants to pressurize them and make things go wrong so they can work on the weaknesses. Um, a skill drill should be well executed and should be done from different angles. So it could be like side on or in front, so people can get an understanding on how a skill works in different ways and how it looks like when performing it. So therefore, it should be well explained and and say why it happens and how it is done, and apply this in an example. So this is more sort of an elite, whereas so therefore it should be the skill should be broken down, um, so they can understand step by step how the skill is done. For example, passing, you would put your foot beside the ball and you would kick with non-dominant foot, so you would follow through with your foot, so you know that the way you kick the ball is the way your foot is facing, so it's more likely to go into that direction. For example, Glenn Mills, he's a sprinting coach, and usually sprinters and runners may have an inefficient run, so therefore he would help an athlete to sprint in the correct way. They can use their arms the right way and how to pump it when they're running. This is really an effective demonstration because he will explain why it's done and how it's done, and therefore the athlete can apply this into a race. The next technique is technical instruction. It's usually a feedback to a player or team. The coach usually gives the positives and negatives of what they have done, and he will explain the positives and explain the negatives, but also give a solution to the negatives. This is a good way to overcome the negatives, and they can apply this into maybe a game. As well as the being a team and individual, it can be specific to an individual. So maybe instead of doing loads of long balls, maybe try triangle passes in football or something. Whereas a team, it's more making sure everyone's working as a team, and if they're not doing something correctly, the coach will try and reinforce a solution to help them out. The coach shouldn't be aggressive to this because it might offend a few others or it might not get them motivated for the second half. With an elite team and a non-elite team or an age, the language changes. For example, with an age and non-elites, it's more likely for like young children, sorry, it's going to be more simple knowledge, simple words, so and less explained, more than simple coaching points. Whereas an elite is going to be they know the skill, so therefore they're going to be able to explain it more and use more complicated words. For example, Manuel Pellegrini, and if Man City are losing at half time, he'll give the positives of the game, but then he will say the negatives and then reinforce a solution, how it can change. And this is really good for a technical instruction because he can tell players what to do, how to do it, and hopefully it will work within a network and they'll be able to score more points. Our next technique is a fitness assessment. This is a coach uses this to test players and teams for their fitness. They usually do this pre-season, during season, and post-season, and also coming back from injury. Usually, it's used in pre-season, during, and post-season because you can see the improvement made during the season and how fit a player or a team has got. However, at the pre-season, they can work on the weaknesses that an individual or team might be not doing as well on, so they can base their training sessions around on the weaknesses of an individual, and they have something to work on during the season so they can become better at that. But also they would reinforce the strengths as well, so they don't lose the momentum of the strength. It's usually to determine how it's also used to determine how someone has worked. So, for example, you might have two players, and one player at the start of the season may be really motivated to get really fit and try and best in every training session. So when he or she does the fitness assessment at the start and at the end, you can see the massive improvement. Whereas an individual might not be motivated, might not want to do a fitness assessment and work hard in training. So therefore, you can see the difference between the two players, and therefore the coach can reinforce motivation in the player who didn't do well, or try and find the problem why they're not doing as well as the other players. For example, of a fitness assessment is an old PE teacher. Especially in PE GCSE at the start of the year, we did a bleep test, and over and we got our score. And over time, we were doing different activities, like strength endurance, aerobic endurance, anaerobic endurance. And then in about 6 weeks' time, we compared this again to doing another bleep test, and then we compared our results to see if we were fit or not. And this is a good way. And this is usually used in clubs, teams. It can be done in any sports. It's not just one sport specific. Evaluation of technique. The effective demonstration was usually used, for example, in Emma Gibbons. She would teach a lesson, and she would get people involved by using demonstrations, and therefore people aren't left out, and they can actually get involved in the demonstration. They will be able to understand it, and also when it comes to applying this into a game or into doing the skill, they'll be able to do it because they would already have experience of doing it, and therefore it can be a bit more enjoyable for them. Whereas this sort of links into the technical instruction, which is it sort of fits in with effective demonstration, because it can weigh up the positives and negatives of your strengths and weaknesses that you might do during a skill or in a game, and therefore your weaknesses, you can find solutions and to overcome these weaknesses, and then therefore you can find progression, and that's quite a good way to understand. So Manuel would use this obviously with Man City, whereas the fitness assessment is more used at the start of the season and at the end of the season to see your progression of fitness. So it's not really to do with skills or drills, which is more how players progress as skills and drills, but also fitness as well. Therefore, the players and the teams don't really they obviously can work on their weaknesses in fitness, but it's not really skill related, drill related, which is quite what the coach is looking for. So this results in fitness assessment not as being as important as effective demonstration and the technical instruction. Quality for a coach: they should know the knowledge of skills that they're going to use in their coaching sessions. Usually it's specific to the sport that they coach in. They need to understand different skills and drills that need to be used in sports. This may be in a specific area, for example, passing. They need to know different skills and drills which can help with passing, different types of movement that may be used during passing, like the triangle, or passing moving, or just like looking up when passing. This can be quite a lot of solutions to problems that could be caused in, for example, netball. So it's quite a good way to understand how passing can affect a game, because the skills used to affect passing can change, and they can try new things to help passing. For example, with an elite, it'll be recognizing and exposing weaknesses for a team or an individual, and therefore they can work harder on them. And with the knowledge of skills, they'll be able to apply different skills and drills that help them increase their strength of a weakness. Therefore, when it comes to doing tactics within the team, they're able to use the strengths against the opposition's weaknesses. This is usually done at half time, so because they know the weaknesses of the team, or it may just click within the team in the first 10 minutes or so. For example, non-elite, the coach won't they only use basic skills for the start because it's a skill that takes time to learn, so therefore they need to keep repeating it until they fully understand it and they can apply it into a game situation. It can be quite challenging for them, so the coach might try different solutions, but they'll be simple solutions so they can meet their targets, which could be over a period of time that they need to meet. Otherwise, they're going to fall behind and they might have to do it outside of the training session. For a coach to increase knowledge of skill, they'll have to do a lot of observing other coaches or shadowing them, such as Sam Riley might shadow another lecturer or another coach to pick up skills or different techniques to use to help improve his performance of coaching. They might also do more courses, gain more qualifications to help them gain more knowledge of skills and also researching into skills. So they might just Google and try new techniques that they might find on YouTube or something. For example, Emil works Vandy, so she would pick his strengths and apply knowledge of skills to his weaknesses, and therefore he'll be able to use this into a game, and therefore his strengths can work with him, and they'll be able to try new skills that can make him even stronger. Therefore, he will have more success, and he'll feel confident going into matches and also into tournaments because he'll feel a lot confident because he has a lot more skills underneath his belt, which the coach has supplied for him. Our next quality of a coach is knowledge of rules and laws. A coach needs to meet the official guidelines of a specific sport that they're going in. If they don't have a clue of what's happening, then they're going to coach the complete wrong thing, and they might do something that is not even relevant to the sport. For example, coaches will teach the correct rules and laws, and therefore the players will play by them, and then they can adapt the training to meet the rules and regulations. For example, offside rule, they can work on the offside rule in football, for example, or in rugby. They also need to make sure the players are wearing the right equipment, because in rugby that you need to have a gum shield. If they don't have a gum shield, then they're not meeting the rules and regulations, and this can affect the team, and then the player might get subbed off or get banned. If they don't meet the legal actions, then it won't benefit the players, and it's also health and safety on the players and the coach and other players playing. Therefore, the coach needs to understand the official rules. They also need to be first aid trained, and then they can apply this into coaching as well and their sessions and games to make sure their players are safe. To make sure they understand and keep up to date with a rule or the sort of regulations of a game like rugby, they can join the national governing bodies. For example, football, the regulations based at FIFA, and they can give out extra qualifications for coaches and refs to go and do so they can gain and expand their knowledge. They can also a coach can try another role. For example, a coach can go and be a referee for a bit, and they can get up to date with the new laws and have a better understanding of the game. An example of this again is Emil. Before she coached Andy Murray, she was a tennis player, so she knows the rules really well, and also can adapt experience to his game and be able to sort of play within the rules, but maybe be a bit cheeky on them. This is going to be quite a big advantage for him because he's more likely to have more success because of the experience that she can give him.